We're hunting pheasants in Menominee County with the Menominee County Pheasant Club.
Not everybody has an 80 or a 40 or knows a farmer, and there's so much private land that it's tough to get on. So we try to give everybody the opportunity to get out and have the fun that we had today.
It's just a great way to get out and enjoy the day and watch the dogs and spend time with your friends.
Then we'll take a look at one way to fillet a pike and a fall trip to the Porcupine Mountains. 9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. When we use the term bird hunting here in the UP, we're typically talking about ruffed grouse and maybe woodcock. Possibly one of the most overlooked species of game bird here in the Upper Peninsula is the pheasant. There are indeed areas open to pheasant hunting here in the UP, which include all of Menominee County and portions of Iron, Dickinson, Delta, and Marquette counties. I had the opportunity to spend a foggy morning chasing pheasants with a few members of the Menominee County Pheasant Club, along with their excited and trusty dogs.
A dozen of us started a pheasant club years ago that we were going out west every year, and we thought, let's start something closer to home. Started out with 12 members, grew and grew and grew. Now we're up to like 250 members. We're a nonprofit with the state now, so we can do a lot of these other projects on the side. What we're all about is creating habitat for and just enhancing pheasant as a whole, pheasant hunting as a whole. And we have a core group of guys in our club, like everybody. We have Joe Wagner, who's been our president for the last few years. He's just done a super job with the youth. Every spring we get 4,000 day-old chicks, and we distribute them out to the youth. 25 chicks per youth. And then shortly after that, we have a spring hen plant. We plant 1,500 to 2,000 hens in the spring. And then in the fall, we have our rooster plant, which is, this year we put out 890 roosters, and we offer those roosters. They usually cost the club anywhere from $12 to $15, and we offer them to any of the club members for, we subsidize each bird, anything over $8 we subsidize. And that really gets a good put-take system around the whole county, where everybody can kind of work on their own little spot, and plus come up here to the public land. We put Mark Falkenberg, like I mentioned earlier, is in charge of our planting this spot up here and rearing the pheasants and planting them up here. And Mark comes up here once a week and plants anywhere from whatever he's got, 15, 20, 25 birds a week up here. And I think we had around 60 or 70 birds that came up here this year. Predation is the biggest thing, I mean, the hunters, they might take a few, but it isn't hard to figure out that it isn't too long after the releases that you hear the coyotes howling and you see the eagles circling, and that's just part of the game, I guess. You do what you can and provide them the best you can and you hope for the best. We have a spring banquet every first week in April, and Jeff Anderson has done a real good job organizing that over the years, and that's our only fundraiser of the year. All of our money is accomplished by that one fundraiser in the spring, and that's where we get all our membership. It's also a membership drive, and the community has just supported us so tremendously. Our sponsors, we always have repeat sponsors, and they say, boy, we love what you're doing, we like seeing the birds, and they hang around.
Try to get out. Good girl.
The DNR says 10 to 15% will make it long term. But every year, we're putting out 4,000 or 5,000 birds, and we're actually establishing something down here, somewhat of a little honey hole in Menominee County, with our own little hunting season that we have down here, our 21-day hunt.
Good girl, Abby.
Abby, no. Good girl. That's good girl.
Get a little older, a little green back in the feathers. Good girls.
906 Outdoors is brought to you by Race Driven.
Get in touch with your adventurous side and find your drive with Race Driven. As an online retailer, dealership, and manufacturer, we can provide power sport enthusiasts with virtually any part or accessories for ATV, UTV, and motorcycles. Customer driven, quality driven, race driven.
Well, I guess as you see, everybody has their favorite dog, and everybody's dog was always the best dog. But we got a German Shorthair running with a Munsterlander, running with a Brittany, and last Saturday we hunted with Mike Sennett, who runs a Springer, and I've hunted with Labs, and every dog is a good dog when it gets the bird. I guess that's it. I had Shorthairs all my life until I ran across this dog, like I was mentioned earlier, and so she's the best dog today. As far as training them, it just comes down to time. The more time you spend with them, the better they're going to be. And that dog will do anything it can to satisfy you once it's earned its trust. And there's just nothing more to say other than put your time in and work your dog, and they're going to hunt no matter what. You get a good dog, it's going to hunt. It's just a matter of keeping them hunting for you. It's just about as simple as it gets. Well, we can walk that yet. Go on, out of go a little farther out. That's a good girl. Elfie no. There's a nice one. The pheasants that we've been releasing the last 5 or 6 years, they're coming from a game farm out in Medford, Wisconsin. And this is what's called a Manchurian cross. It's a cross between a Manchurian and a Chinese ringneck. And what we found with this particular strain of birds is that they're more ground savvy, and they're much more apt to run and take cover. And they seem to adapt better than just the Chinese ringnecks who are more of subtle, and they just like to sit tight. This strain seems less likely to predation. They're more adaptable, I guess, for habitat and for stocking purposes. This project here is a project we took up jointly with the DNR probably about 5-6 years ago. We've been working on this and putting in food plots. And when we first started working with this with the DNR, they come up and did a survey, and they had where they wanted stuff, different types of plantings in different areas. And we had followed that for the first 4 or 5 years. But last year, when it was so wet, it was getting later and later, and we couldn't get the stuff in the way it needed to be gotten in at that time. So we went with sorghum, which is always good cover and good food early when it's coming up. And then the clover. I mean, the clover is excellent. It holds grouse, it holds pheasant, it holds the turkeys. And the clover is just an excellent food source. So we try to keep the food source close to the cover source, and then they can go hand in hand where they can come out and eat and still be protected, and for turkey and pheasant habitat.
There's a couple friends and I that we help out at the pheasant banquets each year. The new thing this year is we just added a Facebook page. We strayed away from the websites and we added a Facebook page. Real easy to find, just Menominee County Pheasant Club. All the general information about the club is on that. There's some photos, there's all the officer positions, the president and vice president, their names are on there with phone numbers if you're interested in joining. Meeting times are listed on there. Real easy to get a hold of us. Get up, Mike! The Pheasant Club partners with the Woods and Stream Sportsman's Club down in Menominee at their trap range, and they sponsor a hunt every year for all the veteran hunters. It's completely free to the veterans. It's advertised at the banquet. Otherwise, like I said, just get a hold of any of the officers. You can find their contact information again on the Facebook page or just by calling any of the members you may know that you can usually put you in touch. That's completely free to the veterans to shoot trap that day. Pheasant Club sponsors it. Another program is there's a kids banquet every summer. It's completely free to all the children. A lot of the prizes are directly oriented towards the children. There's kayaks and bicycles and fishing poles, and again, completely free for the children. That's held at Erickson Park Pavilion every summer.
not everybody has an 80 or a 40 or knows a farmer, and there's so much private land that it's tough to get on. So we try to give everybody the opportunity to get out and run their dog and have the fun that we had today. I mean, there's nothing better than a day like today with your friends and your dogs, and it was a nice day, and the dogs did good, and the dogs like it, I'm sure, as much as we enjoy it. I got all the bad shots out of that gun, so there's nothing but good shots left in it.
Where's the focus ring?
We've had good pheasant hunting. I'm a member of the Pheasant Club and very appreciative of all they do. I have a passion for pheasant hunting. We were talking earlier as we were hunting, deer hunting is a lot of fun, but pheasant hunting, you get to go with a group of guys, you get to see everybody make a good shot or miss a shot and give each other a bad time about it. You get to see the dogs work, and you know, as I had mentioned earlier, when you are deer hunting, you may only get one shot of the year, and if you miss it, you know, that can make or break your season. And if you're pheasant hunting, if you miss a shot, there are more birds to try and find, and no harm, no foul. It's just a great way to get out and enjoy the day and watch the dogs and spend time with your friends and get a good meal out of the deal too.
Want me to walk in there?
It's time for a 906 Outdoors wild game break.
So we use several thousand different pieces of handle material, from elk antler to woolly mammoth ivory. Big difference between the elk and the whitetail antler is the curve in the handle. So you don't, this knife might fit me perfect in the store, but if you're giving it as a gift, whoever's getting it might get that knife and say, boy, that doesn't fit well at all. Elk is very straight, and it will fit anybody's hand, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. So if you're doing that and you're looking to order a knife out of antler, I highly recommend going with the elk.
After you've picked out your knife and decided on a handle, you may want to personalize it even more with laser engraving.
So after the knives are completely finished, they have to be laser engraved. So they get put into this machine, everything's all pre-entered into the system. You hit close and go. So after it comes out of that machine, that paste has to be wiped off. The paste is chemically bonded to the steel. It comes off, leaves you with a nice black logo. This is actually one that we did for Jay Sporting Goods in Clare and Gaylord's 50th anniversary. Again, we do all the laser engraving free, so if you have something you're thinking about, just get a hold of us.
For more about Rapid River Knives, visit rapidriverknifeworks.us. Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works.
Rapid River Knife Works is the largest custom knife factory showroom in Michigan. Hunting knives, pocket knives, and kitchen knives. Watch your custom knife being made and engraved. Free laser engraving with your personal message or company logo. Lifetime warranty on every knife and free sharpening. Bring the family and visit Rapid River Knife Works today.
There's a number of ways to fillet a pike and remove the Y bones. Here's a look at one of them.
First thing with these northerns are really, really slimy. Best thing to do for that is newspaper. And that way they're not sliding around on you. And it just sticks right to the paper. And it makes cleaning them so much easier. Because a lot of people, they don't care for pikes. They got that real strong fish smell. But boy, they sure taste good. This is my second favorite eating fish. And this is a nice one here. So we're gonna get some good chunks of meat off of this one. I do a little bit different than everybody else. I start out just like I'm cleaning a regular fish. I'll cut down like that, and then I'll run the knife up to the fin, cut around it, and right to the butt. Just like that. And then it's just a matter of coming down, getting your angle. One big fillet. Flip them over. Almost the same thing, except I like to come back and catch that. And it's up to the fin. That way your knife's got a good place to keep cutting. But we'll take the belly off this time too, because that's boneless right there too. So we'll skin this right away. That's a totally boneless piece right there. Now with the backside of Northern, you can feel that Y bone up on top there. I go back to where it stops. Take my electric knife, zip that off. That's all boneless. Flip the fillet around like that. And you got to keep tension on the skin, otherwise you'll dig in too far. And then I cut it in half so it's easier to work with. Cut it in half. The reason why I cut it in half because it's a little easier to handle when I go back and do my other part here. Now the electric fillet knife is pretty much useless because you got to have more hands on for this. And one piece of fish you're going to get a bigger piece out of course, than you are the other one. But then it's just a matter of taking the bones out like you do. And again, I do it in like little sections instead of trying to do the whole thing. And once you get it going, if you turn your knife up, it usually goes right along the rib cage. And then I usually clean it up again. I'll take all that silver skin off there. But then again, you got that lateral line. If you cut just off to the side of that. And then this piece here, again, you feel that Y bone, and I cut just on the edge of it like this, and I make an initial, just a little cut like that to get it started. And then you turn your knife and it'll follow the bones right down. This one's a little bit bigger than I'm usually cleaning, so it's a little harder to handle. But if you just work it, and it'll slide right along the bones. And like I said, you lose a pretty good chunk of fish out of it, but that's so bony in there. And if a guy wanted to, you could actually take this piece, and if you wanted to pickle them, the bones dissolve. And then again, that lateral line, just on the edge of that. You come up, you take your finger, and you can see those bones in there, but if you take your finger and run them like that, you can feel them. And you just cut on that side, and I usually cut straight down, just a little bit. And you just turn your knife, and like I say, you follow those bones, and you can see how nice that is. That's following the bone line. You can see where it's white. And you just got to work the knife a little bit. And a lot of guys are scared to clean these. And like I said, there's many different ways to do it. But like I said, there's more than one way to skin a fish. And this is just the way and that's another piece of boneless fish. But there's another way to skin a fish. That's dinner. That's what that is.
.906 Outdoors is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Cooking Wild Seasonings summer sausage. Regular, jalapeno, and garlic. Get yours today at cookingwildseasonings.com. The colors of fall come, and they go. And it happens pretty fast. Just over a week ago, we decided to take a fall-colored road trip and ended up in the Porkies. The forecast started out as sunny, then changed to partly sunny. It ended up all cloudy, cold, rainy, and yes, snowy. But those kind of conditions are pretty easy to overlook when you're in a place like the Porkies. The Porcupine Mountains cover 60,000 acres, 92 square miles of undeveloped UP wilderness, and make for Michigan's largest state park. It was voted the second most popular state park in the United States by USA Today's 2015 Readership State Parks Contest. Within the park, you'll find numerous waterfalls, campgrounds, trails of all sorts, just enough road to get you where you need to go, and a block of old-growth forest comprising almost 35,000 acres, and considered by some to be the biggest and best stand of virgin northern hardwoods in North America. Sun or no sun, that makes for some color. After a quick stop at the visitor center, we hit the south boundary road with a number of stops planned along the way. There's a lot more to the Porkies than color. You can hike to your heart's content in the park. There are nearly 90 miles of trails, but no matter where you start from, you don't have to hike far to find something unique or scenic. Take a short hike down the Lost Creek Trail, and you'll find, well, Lost Creek. Not far down the road is None Such Falls. It's also the site of the historic None Such Mine that was once home to 300 people, complete with a post office, school with 30 students, as well as a boarding house, livery stable, markets, stagecoach service, and a uniformed baseball team. The area was given its name soon after Ed Less discovered the Nonesuch vein of copper on the Little Iron River in 1865. The name refers to the occurrence of copper in sandstone. None such ore existed anywhere else in the copper country. That's certainly a story for another show. You can't come to the Porkies and not make the half-mile hike to Summit Peak. Summit Peak is the highest point in the park at 1,958 feet above sea level, a mere 20 feet shy of the UP's highest point, Mount Arvon. Summit Peak is 1,358 feet above the park's lowest point at the Lake Superior shoreline. As you near the summit, a viewing platform provides spectacular views of the vast wilderness of the Upper Peninsula. You can add another 40 feet by climbing the viewing tower located at the summit. If you've concluded that the park offers far more than you can take in a day, you may want to spend some time camping. The park is certainly famous for its remote backcountry camping opportunities. If that's not quite your style, a yurt is certainly one of the most unique ways to spend a night in the wilderness. Ease it up a notch and spend a night in one of the park's wilderness campgrounds. You never know what you'll find a short walk from your campsite. The park is also home to two modern-style campgrounds, one on each end of the park. Union Bay Campground offers full conveniences. On the other end, the Presque Isle Campground provides a scenic setting hard to beat. Both are located on the shores of Lake Superior. The Presque Isle Campground is situated not far from the Presque Isle River. With its amazing scenery and spectacular waterfalls, a hike along the well-maintained walkways on the banks of the Presque Isle is sure to not disappoint. The waterfalls of the Presque Isle are the largest in the park and the second largest in the state. We finished off our tour, of course, with a visit to the escarpment for a look at the park's most visited vista, the Carp River Valley and Lake of the Clouds. The effects of Lake Superior keep the shoreline warmer longer, so the colors at Lake of the Clouds are the last to say goodbye. And as they do, it's one of the finest views in all of the peninsula. We never really did get the sun we had hoped for to get the most out of the fall colors, but no matter. A trip to the Porkies is never disappointing.